The Millionaire, The Black Beggar, and The Unexpected Chance with Elon Musk and Donald Trump. The streets outside. Nexus Innovations' towering glass fortress buzzed with the last sparks of a hectic day. Neon signs flickered erratically behind rain-slicked sidewalks. Inside that gleaming building, Elon Carter, the billionaire with a vision bigger than the city itself, packed up his sleek laptop. His mind raced after a chaotic day tangled in innovation deadlines and boardroom battles. Then, on a sharp corner, just 3 blocks away, something stopped him dead. Under the flare of a broken street lamp sat a woman with eyes like dark flames and hands cracked by cold, rubbing a folded blanket around her thin frame. She looked like she carried the whole world's weight in that ragged coat. People passed her, shrugging, ignoring. But Elon didn't. He felt that shock first, a prickle like electricity quackling through his skin. She caught his gaze and smiled. Not a smile of pity or fear. Something like she was holding a secret no one else was meant to hear. The streetlight made her face glow with an eerie calm, her skin marked by the city's grit, but her eyes sharp as a hawk's. He recognized her immediately. June. Once, years ago, a bright engineer at Nexus who vanished after a scandal no one ever talked about. Fired without warning, forgotten. But now, homeless, lost or maybe waiting. Elon's voice caught in his throat. June, is that really you? She nodded, voice low, almost a whisper. I've got something that'll change everything you think you know about energy, about power. His head spun. Memories crashed into him. His arrogant dismissal, blind ambition, the regret lurking just beneath his polished millionaire smile. He'd thought he was the future. But June? She knew truths that could shatter everything he'd built. Before he could press for more, a shadow glided through the alleyway. Anton! Cold-eyed, ruthless, Elon's old partner who'd betrayed him out of greed and fear. Anton's sneer cut through the night like a blade. You really want to dig into old ghosts, Carter? Some secrets are better buried, especially hers. Elon's chest tightened. Fear and anger twisted together. Was this just a fight over money and control? Or something darker? June leaned closer. You think you've seen energy's edge? You're wrong. Believe me. Be ready, but be careful. What I carry? It's bigger than anyone. Bigger than you. Elon's trembling hand brushed a worn photograph she pulled from beneath her coat. A man with a mustache and wild eyes, the kind of genius everyone idolized. His heart hammered. Could it be? June's father, the inventor he worshipped, had a story he'd never heard. The city's harsh neon buzzed in the background, drowning in noise. But here, in that moment, everything fell silent. Could he face the truth? Could he forgive his own pride, his mistakes, and fight for something real? Or would he crawl back to comfort, letting it all slip through his fingers? June's smile lingered, mysterious and heavy, like a whisper carried on the wind. And Elon knew this night was just the beginning. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The moment stretched, heavy and electric. Elon's breath caught in his throat as he stared into June's fierce eyes. The world blurred around them, but the photograph in her trembling hand grounded him. Beneath the frigid rain, the crack of tension held them hostage. Then, in an instant, the city erupted with chaos. A piercing siren wailed through the night, cutting through the thick air. People on the street gasped and scrambled in every direction. Cars screeched like banshees, their tires tearing over the wet pavement as shadows rushed past them. Elon jumped as a figure burst into view, a teenage boy, wild-eyed and panicked. He ran, golden locks flailing, until he came to a sudden stop. "It's happening! It's here!" "What is?" Elon shouted, heart racing, but the boy was already turning, drawing the attention of everyone on the street. He pointed frantically down the block. Another wave of absent calm enveloped the scene as the street pulled into a collective stillness. Heads turned, eyes widened. "I didn't believe it, but it's really happening," the boy cried, breathless. The crowd gathered, intrigued and alarmed. "The energy source! It's about to be unleashed!" Psst. Elon's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" The boy gasped, pointing towards the sky. "The explosion! Suddenly, explosions ripped through the air, shattering the night with a blinding flash. A plume of light shot upward, trailing smoke and chaos behind it, an ominous harbinger. People screamed and ducked for cover. The world erupted. A roar of panic, sirens blaring, glass shattering down the street. "June!" Elon yelled, reaching out to her, trying to pull her close. But she was stepping back, her eyes growing wider. I need to go. What's happening?" He grasped her wrist. But she wasn't looking at him anymore. She was staring at the chaos around them. And suddenly, something in her demeanor shifted. I'm not who you think I am." Her voice trembled as dread clouded her expression. "They've been watching me. They want this. Power is everything." "What do you mean? Power?" His voice shook with confusion and uncertainty. The explosion felt too close, too real. "Your father and mine, they worked together. They built it." June's voice shattered the moment like glass. "The energy source, it's in this city, hidden, and they think A crash resounded as a building facade crumbled behind them, sending debris flying. Elon dropped to the ground, pulling June with him, shielding her with his body. The storm of chaos raged around, and in that jagged moment, the truth struck him. The boy's frantic shout echoed eerily above the din. "You don't understand. June is the key. If they find her..." Elon's heart pounded. "What do you mean? Key to what?" But June's expression hardened, desperation clawing at her eyes. Through the dust and confusion, she whispered, "I didn't want this. I never wanted any of this. You'll see." He stared at her, dread gnawing at his gut. The realization sank in as cold as the night air. Was she hiding something more than he could ever fathom? Then, with a deafening crack, the sky split apart, blinding him with bright light. An unseen force surged forward, knocking everyone off their feet. Noise drowned his thoughts. As everything went black, Elon's last vision was of June, her face twisting with something that looked like regret, a dark truth waiting to fracture their world. The only question left hanging in the air was this: who was June really? And what terrible secret had just begun to unravel? The night air felt heavy. Each breath that Elon took was thick with tension. June leaned closer, her eyes reflecting flickers of distant sirens, shadows creeping along the damp pavement. The sea pulsed around them, yet for a moment it felt like they were trapped in their own world. "June, what do you mean? What's bigger than anyone?" Elon's voice trembled. Memories of lost opportunities raced through his mind, a failure he never wanted to face. She opened her mouth, but before she could speak, something shattered the moment. A loud crash echoed from the alley, followed by muffled cries. A group of people sprinted past them, their faces twisted in panic. The crowd thickened like a wave, pushing and pulling, and from it emerged Anton, eyes wild, a glint of metal in his hand. "Carter!" he shouted, voice hoarse with desperation. "Get down!" Before Elon could react, a deafening shot rang out, thunder cracking the night. The crowd gasped, screams slicing through the air like a knife. Elon's heart raced. He instinctively turned, shielding June with his body, the cold concrete digging into his skin. It all happened in a heartbeat. A shadow move, darting across the street, fleeing. Anton's focus shifted, hunting something deeper in the chaos. Elon felt his pulse quicken. Dread pooled in his stomach. This wasn't just an attack. It was targeted. "Stay close," he hissed to June. Her eyes widened in disbelief, fear squeezing her throat. Before he could process it further, Anton stumbled, his expression shifting from anger to shock. The sound of sirens wailed on the horizon, blending with the cries from the alley. He dropped the weapon, eyes locking onto a figure emerging from the murky darkness. A man with wild hair, someone who sent a chill down Elon's spine. "Dad?" The word escaped his lips before he could swallow it back. The man stood there, a ghost in the night, a mixture of sorrow and defiance etched on his weathered face. It was no longer just a memory. It was a truth he had buried long ago. The man who had vanished, leaving behind only whispers of scandal and speculation. Elon's chest tightened. "What are you doing here?" The words felt foreign, heavy. "You need to know the truth, son," his father replied, voice cracking, riddled with the weight of 1,000 untold stories. "I didn't just disappear. I was pushed." June's eyes darted between them, an observer caught in an impossible moment. The murmurs from the crowd grew louder, the tension palpable. Was this the secret she guarded? A revelation that could blaze trails or burn bridges? Then everything exploded into chaos. From behind, a brilliant flash lit up the alley, blinding Elon for a split second. When his vision cleared, Anton lay sprawled on the ground, eyes vacant. The crowd fell silent, shock rippling through as far as the lights could reach. June gasped, stepping back. "This wasn't just about you, was it?" she whispered, the world spinning in an awful realization. Elon's hands trembled, mind racing. Who was the real enemy? What lay ahead? Questions clawed at his mind. The night was no longer just about energy or redemption. It went deeper. Family secrets, betrayals, and truths that clutched at the heart like a vice. The weight of it all crushed down. He stood there, frozen, while the city roared back to life, the sirens nearing, illuminating the dark alley. In that moment, something shifted. Here was a line drawn in the sand, past regrets and present dangers entwined. Everything he thought he knew shattered, and all he could do was breathe, waiting for the next move in this game of fate. Would he step forward into the unknown or retreat back into the shadows? Elon stood frozen, his heart an erratic drum in his chest. The chaos around him felt like a storm. The crowd was a sea of faces, their expressions filled with disbelief, shock, and anger. His father, or what he thought was him, stood tense and wild-eyed. "Stay low!" June pulled Elon down as more shouts echoed around them. The sirens were louder now, slicing through the haze of confusion. But a different sound cut through as well, a rumble, like thunder reverberating through the buildings. Elon's father stepped closer, his eyes darting with urgency. "We need to leave, now!" But just as he spoke, a massive explosion ripped through the night. A shockwave that sent debris flying. Elon threw his arms around June, instinctively shielding her. The ground trembled beneath them, as if the city itself was unraveling. The bright light from the blast swallowed the darkness momentarily, like day piercing through night. When the light faded, everything felt different. A deafening silence fell. People staggered back, wide-eyed, faces ghostly pale. And then, out of the dust and ashes of a fragmented world, a figure emerged. Dressed in black, with a mask covering half of his face, he exuded an air of menace. His eyes glowed from beneath the mask with a fierce intensity. He scanned the crowd, landing on June, and a twisted smile spread across his lips. "Elon Carter, how naive you are," he shouted, voice smooth as silk, but icy. "Did you think the past would let you go? Did you think you could just walk away?" June stumbled back, her expression morphing into one of horror. "No, it can't be. Who is he?" Elon felt the pang of confusion mix with a rising fear. "Your father's betrayal," the masked figure hissed, his words laced with venom. "All along, it was about power, and June here holds the key." Time seemed to stop. Elon's mind raced. Betrayal? What did it mean? Power? He turned to June, searching for answers written in her eyes. But all he found was fear and shattered trust. "June, what did he mean?" But before she could respond, her expression tightened, eyes wide with dawning realization. "You don't know. You're part of it too," she gasped, breathless. A bombshell. His heart sank. "What do you mean?" But the masked man laughed, a chilling sound echoing through the alley, mingling with the distant screams and wailing sirens. "This isn't just about energy, my friends. It's about legacy. Your father, he didn't just disappear. He faked his death to begin a new chapter in this war." Every word felt like a dagger in Elon's gut. His father, alive, hidden, playing puppet master in a game he had no idea he was part of. "There's more," the masked man continued, stepping closer, pulling off his mask in one swift motion. "I'm not just some shadow. I'm a part of your family too. Your brother, hidden from you all this time. Elon's breath caught in his throat. Brother? How could it be? The truth exploded inside him like a bomb, changing everything he thought he knew. Around them, the crowd was murmuring, whispers of disbelief swirling like a tempest. Elena's eyes glistened with unshed tears, fear blending with betrayal. Do you really want to know what's at stake? The masked figure's tone darkened. The source of energy isn't just a tool, it's a weapon, and it all belongs to our bloodline. Shock waves rippled through Elon's mind. Could this be true? Would he accept this twisted reality? What did it mean for June, for his father, for everything he believed? As questions surfaced in waves, the night hung heavy with uncertainty, waiting for a moment to break. Would he dare to uncover the entire truth? Or would he retreat into the shadows and let the world tip further into chaos? Elon's heart raced as si estuviera June Fese. Sus ojos flequeran con un fuego que no le había puesto anteriormente. Pero como preparó su boca, el sonido del metal se sanchó la tensa. Una cola ha caído por el paso, se la retó el cuerpo al letrarse, gritando la metralla por el ruido. Brain te salvó. But what stood out more was Anton y su encalle a 14. Un terror unimiente vuelto. No now, he croaked, así se hablara con un fantasma que había salido de las sombras. Elon se enfadó, y su curiosidad peleó entre mirada a June, que se valiado muy calmado, yaciendo la mirada como en un susurro. Elon, tenemos que irnos. Pero justo que se habían cambiado de escena, una buenda de luz blanca errupió del dumpster. A figura valió, cubierta de sombras y groña, tomando la forma de un hombre. He gasped, his breathless urgency filling the air. What have you done? Elon stood frozen, confusion washing over him like ice water. The man, trembling with intensity, fixed his gaze on June, his voice a mix of desperation and disbelief. You shouldn't have come back. Not after what happened. June's expression shifted like clouds rolling over the sun. Fear rippled beneath her calm facade. I had to. It's time to take back what's ours. The crowd was spiraling into chaos. People whispered frantically, glancing back and forth, confusion morphing into fear. Anton's face drained of color, replaced by something darker. You're messing with forces you don't understand, he hissed, tension crackling in the air. Shut up, the wild-haired man snarled, stepping forward. You don't get to control this anymore. Elon's head was spinning. Suddenly, he was not just watching a fleeting moment of intrigue, but a scene drawn from a grasping nightmare. Anton twisted his lips into a wicked grin, revealing more than just malice. Oh, this is rich. The broken engineer and the fugitive. A recipe for disaster. Then, amid the madness, June pulled out a small, pulsating device from her coat. A thing that sparked and crackled, humming with an energy he couldn't comprehend. Instantly, Elon's heart plummeted. Was that what she wanted him to see? But before he could make sense of it all, the air thickened like smoke. The device hummed louder, and the ground beneath them vibrated ominously. June's calm demeanor crumbled as she cried out, "No, not now! You have to trust me!" As if responding to her fear, the device erupted in a blinding flash. Elon squinted, holding his breath. An explosion of brightness swallowed the alley, and suddenly, everything else faded. The crowd's shouts, Anton's taunts, and even June's voice dissolved into silence. In that blinding moment, doubt flooded into his mind. Why was June there? What had he truly missed? The warmth of the city was gone, and in that instant, he found himself teetering on the edge of understanding. Then, before he could grasp what had just happened, darkness enveloped him, and he was gone. And with that, the world was left spinning back in silence, wondering what had just unraveled. The city's pulse thudded around them, a backdrop to this surreal moment. Elon's heart raced. June's smile was both a balm and a warning. He could feel every breath, every heartbeat. The world narrowed into just the two of them, yet shadows loomed behind. "What do you mean?" Elon leaned in, 1,000 thoughts colliding like a storm in his mind. "What have you got, June?" Before she could answer, the air around them thickened. A low rumble echoed through the streets, vibrating the very ground. The flickering neon lights above buzzed louder, an electric tension hanging thick in the damp night air. And then it happened. A blinding flash lit up the alley. Out of nowhere, a drone swooped in, hovering ominously between them. Its sleek body shimmered in the light, an intimidating presence. A voice boomed from above, clear yet cold. "Elon Carter, you've made a grave mistake." The voice belonged to no one he recognized. Panic surged through him. June's expression shifted from calm to alarm. "We have to move," she shouted, grabbing his arm. But before they could escape, Anton stepped forward, eyes wide. "What is this?" Fear seeped into his voice, dripping with disbelief. The drone's lights pulsed, casting an electronic glow on their faces. "You've meddled with forces beyond your comprehension," the voice continued. "Nexus Innovations is a dead end. Your projects are obsolete. The future is now, and it belongs to us." Elon's mind reeled. Now? Us? Who were they? And why did it feel like this was all a setup? The hairs on the back of his neck bristled. Everything he thought he was climbing toward suddenly felt like a crumbling facade. June's hand trembled as she pulled him closer. "Listen to me!" But just as she opened her mouth, the drone unleashed a shrill siren. It sliced through the air like a knife. In that moment, chaos erupted. People on the street stopped and turned, confusion etched on their faces. Some shrieked and ran, while others raised their phones, capturing the scene. Then a figure emerged behind the drone, stepping out of the shadows. A face Elon never thought he'd see again. It was Jake, his old friend, the one who disappeared after the company's fall. But he looked different now. Sharp, calculated, and somehow sinister. "Surprised to see me, Elon?" Jake's smile was thin and dangerous. "You thought you could leave the game? You're still my pawn. And you, June, what secret are you hiding?" The air thickened with tension. June glared at Jake, defiance in her eyes, but her voice wavered. "You don't know what you're messing with." "Don't I?" Jake's laughter echoed off the buildings. This city has secrets you can't even begin to fathom. The energy you think you control? It's merely a toy. I'm here to take that toy away from you. The crowd gasped, whispers rippling through the onlookers like wildfire. In that instant, Elon felt every gaze piercing him, heat on his skin, fear hitting like cold rain. June squeezed his hand. "We need to go, right now!" But before they could move, Jake stepped in, eyes glimmering with ambition and malice. "Or you can stay and learn the truth." Elon stood frozen, June's urgency mixed with his growing dread. Was Jake really behind this whole setup? Or was there something much bigger at play? Jumbled feelings crashed in waves around him, questions swirling like a storm. And just as he took a breath to respond, the drone's lights flared violently, the world spinning away beneath his feet. What did this mean? What had he walked into? As the chaos enveloped them, one thought clawed at him. Nothing would ever be the same again. With June's smile hanging in the air like a storm cloud, the tension was electric. Elon's heart raced. He had 1,000,000 questions, yet only one demand escaped his lips. "What is it you know?" But before June could respond, the city erupted around them. A deafening crash shattered the night. A glass window burst in a nearby building, sending shards like diamonds flying across the street. Screams echoed, intertwining with the thrumming panic of the crowd. "Run!" someone yelled. Elon's instincts kicked in. He grabbed June's arm, yanking her to her feet. "We have to get out of here!" But as they stumbled back from the chaos, Anton darted forward, eyes wide, panic seeping through his carefully crafted facade. "You don't know what you're getting into, Carter!" His voice was choked, terrified. "You think they're here for you, but it's her they want!" "What are you talking about?" Elon shouted, bewildered. Scanning the street, filled with scrambling bodies and flashing lights, the world felt like it was spiraling into a bad dream. In the midst of the chaos, a dark figure emerged from the shadows, a silhouette of a man, tall and imposing. He strode forward, a grin twisting his lips like a serpent. "Good evening, Mr. Carter," he called, his voice a low, mocking tune. "Fancy seeing you here." Elon's breath caught in his throat. It was Raphael, a shadow from his past, a business rival turned nemesis, whose reputation for ruthless tactics was only eclipsed by his cunning intelligence. "What do you want?" Elon demanded, gripping June's hand tighter as though she were a lifeline. Raphael chuckled, dark and menacing. "Ho ho ho ho, just a little family reunion." He motioned to June. "You see, sweetheart, your father's innovations were never forgotten. They came with a price, a heavy price, and I'm afraid you hold the key." June's face paled, and for a brief moment, terror clouded her fierce gaze. "No, I threw it away! I never wanted it!" Elon felt his chest tighten as understanding flickered like a candle. "What key? What are you talking about?" Raphael stepped closer, eyes gleaming with malice. "The energy project! It's not just theoretical, you see. Your father had plans, powerful plans, ones that could change the world or destroy it. And June has everything you need." Elon's mind raced. Had the Phantom Energy Project been real? Could it be the solution he'd been searching for? Or had it been a curse waiting to unfold? Before he could ask, the ground rumbled beneath their feet. A nearby car exploded, flames erupting like a vengeful dragon. The crowd screamed, scattering in all directions. "Enough of this!" Anton shouted, a wild fear flashing in his eyes. "Rafael, you'll bring them down on a sol!" Elon felt the world tilt. Allies turned into enemies, and secrets came home to roost. June was not just a lost soul. She was the key to something monumental. What had he overlooked in his climb to the top? Rafael smirked. "Oh, they're already here." A swarm of black-clad figures emerged from the shadows, their faces obscured by masks, moving with a precision that chilled the air. Elon's heart raced in dread as realization gripped him. "No," June breathed, her voice trembling. "Not them." "Why would they want you?" Elon asked, panic rising in his throat. A shadow crawled across June's face, a ghost of memories and burdens. "Because my father knew too much, and now they want me to pay the price." The crowd's chaos continued, but Elon felt the world narrow down to the three of them in a whirlwind of uncertainty. Trust, betrayal, fear, all had bled into a single moment. The masked figure surged forward, and in that heartbeat, everything changed. Relationships shattered, identities blurred. Elon was no longer just a billionaire. He was a player in a dangerous game. "Run!" June urged, pulling him toward the edge of the chaos. But Elon hesitated. Was he chasing after a lie? Or were they sprinting toward a truth that could reshape their lives? As the figures closed in, all he knew was that the night was just beginning. Elon felt the chaos close in, the masked figures rushing toward them like wolves. June's grip tightened on his arm. "We can't stay here!" Panic radiated from her. He caught a glimpse of fear, a wild sort that coiled in her eyes like a tight spring ready to snap. "Go!" Anton shouted, glanceando back a Rafael y los figurazos. "Get out of here! I'll hold them off!" Su voz se cabró, pero su determinación era fuerte. "Anton, no!" Elon exaltó. Quería quedarse y pelear, pero una poderosa verinta de los a un instinto de sobrevivencia. Anton se vuelto grin. Antes de que Elon pudiese responder, salió una luz desierto. Instinto corrió hacia el lado, but a surge of force blasted through the alley, knocking them off their feet. Dust filled the air, the stench of smoke and fear mingling. A moment of swirling silence followed. Then screams erupted around them, filled with disbelief and horror. The ground trembled as the masked figures staggered, but just as quickly they regained their focus, their eyes now focused on something new. From within the dust, a familiar figure emerged, almost ethereal in the chaos. A woman dressed in an elegant white suit, her hair a cascade of shadows. The crowd gasped, recognition dawning even before she spoke. "Enough!" Her voice rang out like a clarion call, powerful and commanding. "You're all playing a game you don't understand." Elon squinted, struggling to process it. It was Clara, June's mother, disappeared from the public eye after the scandal, shrouded in mystery. "Mom?" June's voice broke, shimmering with hope and fear. "Is it really you?" Clara glanced at June. Her expresión es un mix de gozo y saudade. no te hayas involucrado en esta molestia. Pero el momento fue roto por Rafael con Malmoría. Dos fantasmas retornándose a mi vida. Détatelo, Clara, comandando a su mano. Y así, el aire cambió con tensión desde en now. Los mascarados gestaron, la incertidumbre se niega. Per un breve momento, it felt like time stood still. I've come for what's mine. Clara's voice pierced through the stillness, a fierce echo that rolled off the walls. The air crackled, charged with something unfathomable. Suddenly, June stepped forward, confusion clashing with resolve. Wait, what do you mean, what's yours? Clara turned to her daughter, eyes shimmering with regret. I never wanted you to find out this way, but the energy source, it's not just technology. It's a legacy. Ours. I don't understand, June shouted, rising anger coloring her face. Because it's a weapon, June. Something we had to bury. You're not just part of the answer. You're part of the problem. A shudder ran through the crowd. Gasps flooded the alley as the truth crashed down. What? Elon breathed, shock coursing through him. His mind reeled, trying to piece together the fragments. Weapon? What had they unleashed? I had to go into hiding. To protect you, Clara said, her voice trembling. I made a mistake, thinking we could escape the darkness. Wait! Elon interjected. You're saying we've been pawns? The atmosphere turned electric. The masked figures penned them in tighter, shadows closing like an engulfing wave. Clara took a step closer, eyes fierce. This fight doesn't just belong to us anymore. But you're here now! You have to help us! June pleaded, confusion battling against the raw intensity in her mother's gaze. Help you? Clara's voice was edged with cold truth. I can't protect you from what's already set in motion. You're in deeper than you realize. The masked figures shifted, murmuring among themselves, and the crowd pressed back, uncertainty swirling. The tension reached a peak, threatening to explode. Then, out of nowhere, something remarkable happened. A blinding flash from the drone above illuminated Clara's face, revealing something unexpected. A strange symbol glowing on her wrist. A collective gasp rippled through the onlookers as the realization settled like a leaden weight. Clara wasn't just part of this chaos. She was a key player, holding secrets far darker than they could have imagined. Raphael's smirk twisted, glancing between Clara and June. So it was true. You hide behind your family's ambition. June's heart sank at the realization sweeping through the crowd. A doubt about whom to trust, who held the true power. As fear blanketed the alley, Clara spoke again, but now something different resonated in her tone. I cannot protect you from what I have unleashed. A silence fell, heavy and oppressive. In that breath, everything shifted. Elon turned to June, searching for answers, but finding only dread reflected back. And at that moment, the world around them fractured. As the drone's ominous hum enveloped the alley, a sudden darkness unfurled, pooling in their midst, swallowing light and leaving only question. Who was truly in control, and what had they awakened? The air hung thick with uncertainty, raw emotions swirling as Clara stood before them, her presence a beacon of both hope and dread. The glowing symbol on her wrist pulsed with an energy that felt almost alive, illuminating the fear etched on June's face. But before anyone could speak, a low rumble echoed again, this time deeper, reverberating through the very ground. What? No! Clara's eyes widened, as if sensing something they couldn't. Panic twisted her features, and for a moment she seemed shattered, revealing a glimpse of vulnerability beneath her confident facade. This wasn't supposed to! Before she could finish, the drone above whirred violently, its lights flashing erratically. The masked figures moved in closer, their resolve hardening. And just when it seemed like the world would explode into chaos, the ground shook with an intensity that halted every thought. Then came the scream, a shrill, piercing sound that dropped like a stone into the heart of the crowd. "Look out!" someone shouted. Elon spun, instinctively pulling June closer just as the ground exploded. Dirt and debris erupted in a violent plume, crashing into the alley around them. The masked figures staggered, falling back in shock. And then, as the dust cleared, the impossible happened. A figure emerged, silhouetted against the chaos. The face was familiar, yet twisted. Jake. But he was not alone. A flash of light followed, cascading behind him, revealing something unexpected. It was a second group of figures, and they wore uniforms emblazoned with symbols Elon had only seen in old photos. A family crest entwined with new, ominous designs. "Jake!" Elon's voice caught in his throat. "What the hell is going on?" The new figures advanced, their eyes scanning the crowd with uncanny precision. Fear rippled through the onlookers, a palpable bated breath as all attention shifted back toward Jake. He stepped forward, a confident edge in his voice. "You thought it was just about the energy, but it's about family. Our family," he said, eyes darting between Clara and June. "You've been kept in the dark, and I'm here to pull the curtain back." Tension snapped in an instant. Clara's face flushed, confusion giving way to fury. "You're lying!" she hissed, stepping protectively in front of June. "You have no idea what you're talking about!" But Jake simply laughed, a harsh, mocking sound that echoed against the alleys. "I do speak the truth, Clara. The one you've buried. This," he gestured to the crest on the uniforms behind him, "is the legacy of the Carter family, and you both," he pointed fiercely at June and Clara, "are at the center of it. You carry the lineage of a power few understand." As his words hung in the air, something shifted in the crowd. Shock morphed into outrage, whispers of disbelief swirling. Then, from the throng, an unexpected voice chimed in. "Is that why you disappeared, Mom? Did you know?" A young woman stepped forward from the gathered crowd, her hair wild, and her face flushed with unwavering determination. June's heart dropped as she recognized her. Ava, her childhood friend who had driven her to start anew. Ava's presence made everything feel more fragile, as if the truth had just splintered into a million pieces. "Who are you?" June demanded, her voice shaking. "I'm your sister!" "Geniuses are often too blind to see," Ava said, each word filled with a lifetime of pain and yearning. Elon's mind reeled. A sister? And suddenly, the elaborate web of deceit stretched farther than he could comprehend. Everything he thought he knew fell like fragile glass, shimmering shards puncturing the thick atmosphere. "I have to tell you," Ava continued, tears gathering. "We're more than just products of legacy. We're connected to something that could make or break the world." Beneath that shocking declaration, the city roared back to life, sirens blaring, chaos rippling like a sudden tide. Elon felt the reality shift like sand, questions spiraling. How deep did the betrayal run? What did it mean for him? For June? For what lay ahead? Jake stepped forward, his face twisted in triumph. Now, let's see how far you're willing to go to protect your family's legacy. And with that, the ground shifted one more time, as if the world were realigning itself, leaving Elon breathless, caught in a maelstrom of revelations. What did it mean that the fight was only beginning? Would they stand united, or be torn apart by the weight of the past? As the chaos swirled around them, everything was uncertain, and he knew the road ahead was dark and dangerous. The tension in the alley pressed down like a weight, hearts racing, breaths shallow. Elon locked eyes with June, the radiant fear mingling with a fierce determination. "I won't let you take her," he said, his voice low but steady, muscles coiling for whatever came next. Jake's laugh was sharp. "This isn't just about her. It's about you, too. You're part of this legacy, whether you like it or not." June stepped closer to Elon, their shoulders almost touching, the weight of their shared uncertainty binding them. Clara's gaze flickered between the two as the crowd drew in like a collective breath. "We have to stop this," she whispered fiercely. "We can't let them control us." The masked figures shifted, tightening their formation, their dark faces unreadable. "Stop this?" Jake echoed mockingly. "You'll need more than words." Suddenly, the ground trembled again, a sign of something monumental looming, an invitation to chaos. "Time's running out." Anton's voice broke through like a crack of lightning. "We need a plan, all of us." Elon turned to June, desperation grounding him. "What do we do?" "There's a collective power here," June replied, fingers trembling slightly. "Whatever energy my father left behind, it's more than just a project. It's real." Just then, a piercing scream cut through the tension somewhere in the crowd. People were pulling away as if the shadows had become alive, a ripple of fear coursing through the alley. "I'll show you," Clara said, fierce and resolute. She lifted her wrist, the symbol shimmering with latent energy. "Follow me. We can tap into his legacy together." With a collective nod, they rushed toward Clara. But just as they did, Jake lunged forward, a wild look in his eye. "You think you can just leave? You don't know who you're messing with." Anton moved into action, pushing back against Jake, fear giving way to indignation. "Enough of this!" Elon's heart thundered as they pressed on, determined not to let the past trap them. They plunged deeper into the alley, whirling past the darkness that sought to swallow them whole. Then they reached a door, old and weathered. Clara gripped the handle, her eyes shimmering with conviction. "This is it! It's time to reveal the truth." This place was always a hub for his work. With one swift turn, they burst inside. The air hummed with energy. The walls lined with blueprints and relics from a past buried in shadow. "Look!" June exclaimed, pointing to a wall. "Dot! Why don't it point to a wall?" "That's it! His design!" As they gathered around the glowing schematic, the noise from outside faded away, replaced by a peaceful hum, sending a sense of purpose coursing through them. But the moment was fleeting. The door shattered open, and Jake stormed in, anger boiling over. "You can't hide here! It's time you meet your fate!" Elon stepped between Jake and the blueprints, heart racing, but resolve hardening. You'll have to go through me, he snapped, fists clenched. As the two men faced off, June and Clara shared a glance, a fleeting moment of understanding. This confrontation was the key, the catalyst for change. "I'm through running," June shouted, stepping forward, her voice ringing clear. "This ends now! If you want power, you must learn to let it go." With those words, an energy surged around them. Walls vibrated, the ground trembled. The hidden forces of their family legacy awoke, firing like electricity through their veins. "Stand together!" Clara shouted, and in that heartbeat, they coalesced, hands gripping firm, hearts pulsing as one. The chaos outside grew more frenetic, shadows swirling, the line between past and present blurring. But here, they found unity, strength enfolding them in warmth. With a deafening roar, the energy exploded outward, a wave of light spilling grim shadows back. Jake faltered, surprise etched across his features. Elon seized the moment, turning away from him, embracing the collective power of family. "Together we are unstoppable," he declared, and as their combined energies surged, they found clarity, pushing out against the darkness that threatened to engulf them. The chaos outside stilled. The masked figures hesitated, uncertainty brewing. As shadows turned into light, June stepped forward again. "This is our legacy, not to be bound by fear, but to create something better." Silence wrapped around them, broken only by the soft hum of energy lingering in the air. The future was uncertain, but bright, filled with possibility. And as they stood together, unified against the shadows of their past, Elon felt hope ignite within him, a flicker leading them toward uncharted territory. But would they ever be free of the darkness chasing behind them? A door creaked open in the back, and an unknown figure stepped through, face obscured by the brilliance of the light. "Who are you?" Elon called, heart racing, the excitement of the moment edged with fear. The stranger smiled, and the air stilled. The real journey is just beginning. And just like that, the mystery deepened, pulling them into a new chapter. You have to subscribe now! Don't wait even a second longer to share this adventure. Smash that like button now to show your support. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this unexpected ending. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see what came next. This is the moment to show your love for the channel. Be part of the journey.